What's up? Welcome in on this Hump Day, January 21st, 2026. It's another Wednesday edition of the Mike Arana Show. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to comment along if you are watching along, and we appreciate you if you are. We'll get as many of them up on the screen as we can. Also, follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show everywhere but Snapchat because we're not 12. And Snapchat sucks. All kinds of things to go through on tonight's program. We've got potheads. We've got porn stars. We've got senility in its finest. Defections. And unlike pimping, transferring isn't easy anymore. That in the background is my one of two dogs who is, let's just say he's a couple milk bones shy of just the entire Milkbone factory. I couldn't figure out why our cat tree guy is in the living room because Mama's gone. I'm unsupervised again. And our cat tree in the living room was in the middle of the damn living room when I went out there to find out why Barky McBarkerton in there won't shut the hell up. Don't even put two and two together. This is our dog that is the plant eater in the backyard. So this next part won't surprise you. I go back out there to find out why he's still barking right before we start the show. And he's playing tug-of-war with the effing cat tree, and he's the reason it's in the middle. So by the end of the show, if anybody wants to make an offer for a dog, you can't have him because she'd kill me if I got rid of him. But we love him. He's just not the smartest in the world. Two guys that are pretty smart because they make me look smart on this program. In the middle, Mr. Boston Celtics, Vegas Mac. What is going on, my friend?
Not much. I thought you were describing me in your introduction there. You used a couple words that people use.
Porn star?
Me. No, I didn't say all of them.
Senile.
But senile and a couple of other things there. And you had me pretty good. Had me pegged out. What's going on, guys? Enjoyed Monday night. That was kind of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And you and I actually talked at halftime about, hey, I wonder if this constitutes a great game to you.
Yes.
And we had kind of that back and forth there. So interesting. Fernando Mendoza has updated his LinkedIn with some positive thoughts on... Dude, his LinkedIn is friggin' hilarious, T. And how do you feel on this Wednesday, T, knowing that as soon as he tried to Elway helicopter himself into the end zone, he was a Raider? There is no doubt about it. Fernie is going to be a Raider, so you're going from love of Caleb Williams to love of Raider Nation under Fernando Mendoza. How are you feeling today?
I hate it here. I hate it here. This team's going to get exactly what it deserves. Exactly what it deserves. 10 more years of misery going backwards.
It's true. And I mean, be careful for what you wish, always. But we'll see how that translates. We got a little bit of ways before the draft. We're obviously going to talk about Monday night's game. And one thing we won't do on this program, because we don't believe in it, is we're not going to give you our way too early top 25. I saw one today that had Florida 24th. I almost spit out what I was drinking at the time. What we will do is look at maybe some value plays as far as next year's national champion and Heisman go, as well as get into what's going on in the NFL, because the NFL's lost its damn mind. And speaking of losing your damn mind today, I bring you these two stooges who held court in Buffalo, New York. Guys, I have seen a lot of shit watching sports in my lifetime. A lot of people tell me I need a habit, and they don't understand that this is not only my habit, it is also what I do for a living and just something I enjoy. So I need another habit, because people like these two dipshits, and if you're unfamiliar with them, Terry Pagula, the owner of the Bills and the Sabres on the left, Brandon Beane, the now promoted president HMFIC in Buffalo, has got to have pictures on somebody. They had one of the most cringeworthy press conferences I think I have ever seen in my lifetime today, where Terry Pagula goes and cuts off Brandon Beane answering a question to remind the audience there, or make it a point to the audience there, the media members assembled at this press conference, that, well, Brandon Beane didn't want Keon Coleman. It was pressure from the coaching staff. And of course, the internet sleuths all over X found all the quotes of Brandon Beane talking about how elated he was to get Keon Coleman. Oh, by the way, you two, this kid who has unlimited potential is still on your roster next year, you two dipshits. Mac, what did you make of that circus in Buffalo today?
Well, sometimes you got to know when to hold them, and sometimes you got to know when to fold them. And I think Josh Allen might be sitting back and maybe deciding it's time to fold them. That's what I'm thinking.
First off, what the hell was that getup that clown show was wearing? Was that a paisley red top with a white hoodie with drawstring? What the? You should.
I thought you were talking about Terry
now.
with the old school windbreaker under the polo shirt, which I thought was hilarious.
Good Lord, they're a fashion disaster. They should be canned for that.
I just, I get it. At this time of year, we see a lot of these guys like Terry Pagula that typically don't go up in front of the media. And when they start opening their mouths, we understand why they don't go. Jerry Jones looks more normal and like well within his thoughts today after I listened to freaking Terry Pagula. Maybe it's time to just go settle on your yacht, Terry, and get the hell out of the way. And here we go. And I've seen this a couple of times today, but I got a text from Billy V this morning, and he goes, "Did you watch that disaster of a press conference my football team just had?" And I said, "Oh, yes, I did. Absolutely, I did." If you're a prospective head coach here, I don't know how attractive the Bills' job is to you. And I know what most people are going to say. A lot of people would line up to coach Josh Allen. I understand that. I would too. I think all three of us would. Why wouldn't you? That being said, what Brandon Beane has as far as leverage goes in the situation is giving me, and this is going to trigger a group of fans that are very triggered right now, this is giving me very much 49ers Trent Baalke kind of vibes right here. You've got a roster full of holes, and Pagula, in his infinite wisdom today, and I don't have the numbers, but he basically recited the 7 years of playoff seeding, and you don't get to those levels without somebody putting the players on the field. Well, I would argue you can get to those levels without players on the field. See what Kyle Shanahan did this year in San Francisco without players on the field, and at what Sean McDermott has done. Now, I get it. We talked about this, and he referred to hitting the playoff wall today in one of the normal things, Terry Pagula said. But he also basically said, I didn't fire Sean McDermott because of the outcome in Denver, and then kept going back and blaming the outcome in Denver on the refs, and then later said, I didn't fire Sean McDermott because of a bad call from a ref. Like, a desirable job. And Mike Greenberg said this morning, Mac, on his program, that I don't know how desirable this job is anymore. They've got 8 players that tie up 60% of their salary cap. And the guy who's on his way out had 7 10-win seasons in 6 seasons of making the playoffs and winning at least one game. I don't know how desirable this job is even with Josh Allen.
Yeah, it's been interesting because, I mean, you've heard not only that with the Bills, but you've heard some stuff about the Steelers as well. Like, how desirable is that job? I mean, without knowing the inner workings, and just as we look at it as a whole, I mean, we talked about it. Like, there's issues on the Buffalo defense. We know that. We've said that. We've stated that. We know that from an offensive standpoint, there's Josh Allen, and they have one of the best running backs in the league. But the biggest thing is, can they get a receiver, any receiver, find a receiver, rent a receiver, whatever the case may be. But it's interesting because it's like, and again, we've said this, it's not like these are new things. I think, like, rewind the tape. We've said it the last what 2-3 years. This has been the problem with the Bills, and they haven't solved the problem. So is bringing a new coach in going to solve the problems that we have? I guess we'll wait and see. But I think there's other stuff going on there.
Yeah, we'll definitely wait and see, T, and hopefully for Keon Coleman's sake, T, he slept through his alarm again this morning and wasn't watching that press conference because, I mean, how do you just take a dump on a kid who I don't think anybody that's watched Keon Coleman play cannot sit here and go, he's got unlimited potential. Has he started out great? No. Does he have to learn how to get somebody to wake him up on time? Sure he does. But he literally just took a shit on him in a press conference today and blaming Sean McDermott for why they drafted him and not Brandon Beane. Like, what are you doing here?
Completely clueless, leadership out of touch with reality. You've seen this with the Sabres. You're seeing it now with the Bills. I would trade my entire draft for number 17 if I had a chance. I would straight up trade the entire draft. I don't care how many picks I had. This is a team that, I've said before that it's possible that McDermott took this team to its absolute ceiling, and you may have needed to hear another voice. It may be that McDermott took this team to the ceiling because of complete managerial incompetence that he wasn't getting any help with. That is a possibility. But off topic, is that a Dominique Wilkins Celtics jersey I see in the background? Because that looks fantastic.
It is.
Squirrel.
Thank you.
Squirrel.
Absolutely. Good old Meek in the lean years.
I got to thank Gianluca Fulcinidi on X. I hope I didn't butcher that. I probably did. But as soon as the press conference ended, all these started getting dug up, including a documentary that I almost feel like Brandon Beane had done on himself to laud himself and pat himself on the back for drafting Keon Coleman. Quote from the documentary, whatever it was, in this awkward camera position looking up at Brandon. The whole thing's just a mess. When I went to bed that night, I was like, it's Keon unless someone just blows us away. That's a direct quote from Brandon Beane, who allegedly didn't want to draft Keon Coleman and was pressured by the coaching staff. Also in that same documentary, creepy thing that what's going on, I'm glad Coleman ran that 4.57 40. It'll help to get him 2 months, he said that, before the draft. So 2 months before the draft, Brandon Beane wanted this guy. But allegedly today, it wasn't Brandon Beane. So where do the Bills go from here? Well, it's interesting now. We know Joe Brady is already interviewed for the job. Per Diana Rossini of The Athletic today, Brian Daboll has said that the Bills' job is his number one choice. If he does not end up there, we'll tell you where he might end up here soon. But it's going to be an interesting thing to see if there is any ripple effects from this. And again, the Bills have a lot of issues. They've got 8 guys that tie up 60% of their salary cap. And anytime you have a quarterback as good as Josh Allen, that's going to be the case. But the rest of the guys that are tying up the rest of that money that equates to that much of their salary cap aren't getting the job done, and they're not getting any younger either. So what happens here going forward will be an interesting thing. Then we got this last night. I present to you the most awkward pairing of 3 people I think I've ever seen in my life, and that includes the 3 guys that you're watching do this program right here. As Mike McDaniel told the Cleveland Browns, thanks but no thanks, canceled his head coaching interview, and we found out late last night that he is now going to Los Angeles to be the offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers. So Harbaugh, Herbert, McDaniel, Part 5, Part 6, the odd couple, whatever. I absolutely, guys, 1,000%. And I know the executives at HBO Sports watch this program. So thank you for that. And what I'm strongly begging you to do is you have to give me Hard Knocks for 5 weeks of the preseason, because I want to hear everything that the 2 coaches talk about. And then when Surfer Boy comes in, brah, what are we doing on offense, brah? Guys, I am 1,000%. Let's get to next season already. I want to watch the Chargers 24/7, as I know you do, T.
I can't wait. This is a marriage made in ratings heaven. I guess it's what was it? It's a good day to die, another day closer to death, or something, or whatever. He may just get his wish down here. This, yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing. Like, how awkward is this going to be? You got Captain Dad Pants calling the shots, and then you got Mr. Capri's trying to see through his Wayfarer eyeglasses, talking to Surfer Boy, brah, hand the ball off, brah. Like, good Lord.
Coach, I've been on my back so long, I feel like I'm just floating out in the Pacific, brah.
I have more reasons to hate watch this team now.
Mac, Joey Molinaro on X, and I believe we retweeted it on our X today, did a fantastic back and forth on what the conversation between Harbaugh and McDaniel probably sounded like. Like, I love this, but part of me can't get over the Mike, what are those, like, short pants? Are they capris? They're joggers. You ought to get yourself a nice pair of khakis. Is this enough to make you believe that the Chargers' offense could actually be worth a shit next year if they can keep their offensive line healthy?
I mean, it can't go any worse than it did at the end. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, we've got that. I mean, we know he's a great offensive mind. We saw what he did with Miami. I mean, it's there. It's like you said, it's a very interesting combination. I mean, I can't agree with you more. Like, it would definitely be something that you'd want to see, but I guess this is where we're going to find out if he's the quarterback. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's the quarterback that's the problem. Maybe it's not the scheme or anything else. I think we're going to find that out.
What are you laughing at there?
Brah,
you care to share?
Brah, to win games, you have to win the game, not lose it. Brah.
You got to score more points than the other team, brah.
Hit Keenan on the post route, brah. I'm
glad I read that picture that I pulled up in some of the screenshots I took off of X as my dog continues to make audible background noises here. Pat McAfee freaking nailed this. Harbaugh describing McDaniel during press conferences is going to be a great addition to Ball next year. Quote, he's this little wizard of Ball. He wears really cool pants. This guy loves his shoes. I can't, dude, get me to next season. I have to watch the damn Chargers. I have to. I have to ship this dog to watch the Chargers so he shuts up. Robert Saleh, the new head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Jeff Hafley, the new coach of the Miami Packers. John Harbaugh officially signed in New York. We've still jobs open. Mike McCarthy interviewed with the Pittsburgh Steelers today, Mac. He's a Yinzer. Does that get you excited at all?
It's definitely a different direction. So, I mean, I think he's a darn good coach. Let's just be honest. I mean, he's won wherever he's gone. That hasn't been a problem. Like you said, I don't think it fits the mold of what they've been trying to do, but it'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. I have read that I've read a lot, like Shula is still the favorite to get there, although that's kind of changed a little bit. I know Brian Flores had a second interview in Pittsburgh as well. So it's interesting. Like I said, I've always, one thing about the Steelers and their, you talk about management and stuff. I've always said that they seem like they make the right decisions. I mean, I remember, like, when they were having success, like some of the guys they get rid of, like even Rod Woodson, like, man, how can you get rid of Rod Woodson? Kind of let him go, or what? But they seem to know when the time is. So I'm gonna kind of let this play out, because I'm gonna trust the process on this one.
Now I got people ringing my damn doorbell. T, where are you at on this? Which one of those moves the needle for you? Because one of those guys, Robert Saleh, was expected to probably be a front runner with the Raiders.
Did the Titans not research the last time that Robert Saleh coached with a team similar to the Titans, which we have a lot of data points on in the last 5 years? Good luck with that, Titans. I don't know why. I don't understand why coaches just can't be really good coordinators and be happy. Like, why can't you do that? Robert Saleh would have won a Super Bowl with that 49er team within the next 3 years. Absolutely. Maybe multiple Super Bowls. And instead, he wants to go rebuild a Titans team that has been under, 3 coaches in the last 5 years? No, thank you. Like, you're asking for trouble there. The Miami move is interesting, but I need to see more from this Miami retool before I make an assessment about that.
Isn't it kind of interesting? I mean, one of the things that we talked about with all the playoff games, and then even in college, is I thought in the college playoffs, it was more about defense than anything else. And I think the same thing as we've gone through with the NFL playoffs. It's been about defense. And all of a sudden you're starting to see all these coaches that are being hired are defensive coordinators, defensive coaches. Like, are we starting to see this football swing to now, if we're going to win, we need the defense first? I'm just wondering, is that kind of the swing that we're starting to see? Because we know football is about trends, football is about copycats. Yeah. I'm wondering, are we starting to see that? I love Halfley. I mean, he did a great job when he was at BC. I mean, I thought he was really good. I think it's a really good hire for Miami.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what happens there, because as we know, in Miami, in Arizona, in Atlanta, now where Kevin Stefanski is, there's quarterback questions all over the league. About 5 minutes from now, we'll get into the NHL. We'll puck around and find out, as we typically do on Wednesday. A lot of interesting stuff going on the ice there. Again, feel free to comment along if you're watching along. Guys, the Major League Baseball Hall of Morals announced a new class yesterday, and my biggest question is, does anybody give a shit? Because I don't.
Nope, that's a hard pass for me.
I mean, obviously there's people that care. I mean, it's a tough thing. It's not a great class. It's not. You don't have that's those superstars that are there. I mean, you still have some really good players. I mean, I think I told you guys a story before. One of the guys that coached Jonathan was Damon Hollins. He's a first base coach for the Kansas City Royals, and I was at one of their practices, and I was talking to him one day, and he was doing this outfield drill. And I always let guys, he'd been coaching for a while. And I said, Damon, who is the best outfielder that you've seen, like from a footwork standpoint? Like, who is the best? Without a doubt, he said Carlos Beltran. Just flat out. He said he was just flawless in his footwork. And that's kind of always stuck with me as I've gone. Again, it's one of those things. They're just they're good players. Are they Hall of Famers? I don't know that either one of them are Hall of Famers. I don't think there's anybody on the list from next year that's on a Hall of Famer. It's just so screwed. It really is. I mean, like I mean, I'll go to bat for my guy. Like, Manny Ramirez is a Hall of Famer. I mean, we all watched Manny Ramirez play. Manny Ramirez was the best right-handed hitter of his time, no doubt about it. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree with you on Ramirez. That's no doubt. But I mean, if there's nobody, I got two things here. One, if there's nobody worthy, don't elect anybody, because baseball has done that before, and don't just put somebody in there just for the sake of having a ceremony. But
right.
So Carlos Beltran is retired in 2017. So he would have been first eligible for the Hall in 2021, 2022.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah.
What makes him eligible now? Like, get these guys in when they're eligible, or don't let them in at all. Carlos Beltran is a great story. He was a great player. He seemed to come up with clutch hits when it was required. He had 435 home runs. But if you're not worthy in 2022, why are you worthy in 2026? That makes no sense to me.
I mean, I think that's a great point, T. And I mean, and to me, you've elected the same player. I mean, Beltran and what? Gosh,
And
I
Jones.
thought of his name. And Jones. They're the same player. I mean, they were both really, really good defensive players. More leaning towards Beltran, maybe a little more offensive than Andrew Jones, but it's kind of the same player. You know, it's. I don't. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I completely forgot about it until I saw the announcement. I was like, oh yeah, because there was nobody on when I looked at the ballot. There was nobody on the ballot that I said they should be in the Hall of Fame.
I think it's and it will continue to be a sham. Look, I'm no Barry Bonds guy like that. I'm just not, right. But Jiminy Christmas, that guy could hit the baseball unlike any other human being on the planet. It's starting in 1986, 87. Why is he not there?
Well, anybody else that wants to text me right now, by the way, lose my goddamn number.
You know, it's one of we've said this before. It's like they should be in the Hall of Fame. If you want to put them in another wing of the Hall of Fame and just say, hey, listen, you know, because but listen, baseball is about the Hall of Fame is about telling a story. That's what the Hall of Fame is about. The Hall of Fame is about telling a story, and the story of when Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire and all those guys played it's the steroid era. We know it. That's fine. I mean, it's part of it. It's let it be part of the game. I mean, like I said, there's that whole story of like when, you know, if Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb would have been playing now and the antics that they had, they wouldn't have been in the Hall of Fame either. I mean, kind of the same thing. My biggest thing is who voted for Nick Markakis? He got a vote. That's kind of interesting.
You're making you guys are making my case for me. I don't even have to say anything. First of all, when you don't have the greatest home run hitter of all friggin' time in your Hall of Fame, your Hall of Fame's a joke. When you don't have arguably one of the greatest right-handed pitchers of all time in your Hall of Fame, your Hall of Fame is an absolute friggin' joke. And when we want to sit here and like on the flip side of that, like the whole separate wing thing, I get where you're coming from, Mac, and I don't disagree with the concept of it, but I do in the sense that we're telling a baseball story, so there is no separate wing. It just kind of goes through a progression there. And I've never been to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I have a very good friend of mine who's probably watching the program right now that I do these baseball giants road trips with. And one of the road trips that we're talking about doing is when the Giants are up in the New York area. And he's asked me several times, you know, would you go to the Hall of Fame? And I said, the Baseball Hall of Fame, I have zero desire to go to because I think it's an absolute friggin' sham. So, hey, congrats to Andrew Jones, arguably one of the best defensive center fielders of all times. Congrats to Carlos Beltran. I get it. As far as anything else goes, I don't know. I mean, we look at some of these guys that are coming up here. Slam dunks, no doubters. Chase Utley, Albert Pujols, Buster Posey, and I think if I remember correctly, Buster Posey's eligible to go in next year. No, I'm not saying that because he's a Giant. Buster Posey, difference maker, badass. Unless you tie his hands with the checkbook because you're a cheap ass who shouldn't own a baseball team, but I'm not going down that road right now. I'm already agitated enough. What do you have to say in the middle before we move on to hockey here? Because right now I want to hockey fight you. You're getting under my skin.
Buster Posey's not a Hall of Famer.
Oh, you shut your mouth.
He's not.
You know what? Just for that, I'm going to make you look at this. That is Kyle Tucker's first look in a Dodger jersey. Also the picture that will be the preeminent image of next year's lockout right there.
Yeah. But we're not blaming Kyle Tucker, right?
Nope, not at all.
Okay, because I'm going to let that guy get as much damn money as he wants. The whole thing
Absolutely.
is a complete sham and a joke, though.
It's a
Complete
Travis
sham.
mockery. That's why we need a floor before we need a cap. Let's move on to hockey. And we've had an interesting week in hockey, and it started on Monday night. Guys, I've never laughed harder watching a hockey game than I did Monday night when the Sharks took on the Panthers in the return of Matthew Tkachuk, which got real sideways and real physical real quick when Macklin Celebrini lays out Matthew Tkachuk early in the game, and it led to some fisticuffs. So much as to, you don't think goaltenders are athletes and you have not seen this? The speed that Sergei Bobrovsky, holy crap, Russian's a fun language, sped down the ice to get into this scrap with Nikolovic of the Sharks was unbelievable athleticism. Sharks end up winning the game, but our first goalie fight in what, like 10 years, guys?
It's been a minute, but I saw somebody online said that these guys with all this gear on, they look like that guy from Beetlejuice with the shrunken head, and he's sitting there trying and I'm just like looking at Bobrovsky right there, like it looks like Nedeljkovic could pull that whole getup right over his dome and just lay him out.
Yeah, it was freaking incredible, man. I'm watching it live, and I for some reason didn't have the Sharks feed on. I actually had the Panthers feed on, and the color guy for the Panthers, he's like, "Oh, Bobrovsky's coming out to check it out at center." Oh, no, he's not stopping. I mean, he made a freaking beeline, Mac. I am impressed with the athleticism, Sergey.
It's always good to see a good goalie fight, you know. So my question to you guys both, have you ever seen in person an all out hockey brawl, like where they just all go at have you ever seen it?
We saw, and I can't remember the game off the top of my head, but yes, that was an incredible interview after the game. We were at a game when we had season tickets to the Coyotes. Yes, Arizona did have a hockey team here. And I can't remember the game. It was against one of the Pacific teams. I want to say it was the Kings. And they had a full-blown, just probably the best hockey fight I've ever seen. And it was right in the corner where we sat. And it was just an absolute melee. There's nothing better in a hockey game than fighting, T.
I mean, it gets the crowd pumped up, it gets the players juiced up, and people hate it, but it has to be done. Like, it has to be done. That's the way that things have to be done sometimes. You just have to go take care of your business. I had no problem with what Nedeljkovic did. I had no problem with what Bobrovsky did. I really didn't. Go get your face in it and go get lit up, and go. Both of you get 2 minutes for goaltender interference, which is hysterical in the box score. But I'm all for it. Give me more. I saw a full-on line brawl in a minor league game once. It was fantastic. Like, I'm just sitting there and just like, this is great. I got like $4 beers and everybody's punching people. It's wonderful.
Nedeljkovic actually also made history in that game, though, guys. One of only five NHL goaltenders to have the goaltender's version of a Gordie Howe hat trick here. A fight, an assist, and a goal in a career. He joins Ron Hextall, Chris Osgood, Mike Smith, and Billy Smith. The fifth goaltender. So the backup for the Sharks gets to get a little froggy and make some NHL history. And then the Sharks last night got their doors blown off of them, like most people have, by the Tampa Bay Lightning, with Askey back in the goal. But that was just the things. Did you guys catch the Jonathan Toews standing ovation when he returned to Chicago the other night? I think I sent it to you guys. It moved the hell out of me, and that guy was a pain in my Sharks' ass for a handful of years, Mac.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, you know, we've been joking about the fighting and whatnot, but hockey's like you said, it's a different breed. The hockey players are a different breed for sure. And it seems like some of these celebrations that we see for hockey players, I remember even we talked last year, like when Brad Marchand went back to the Garden and stuff like that. It seems like it hits a little bit different with some of the hockey players. It just is. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because of the Stanley Cup tournament and just the blood, sweat, and tears that go into that long tournament. But it does seem to hit different with hockey. And I mean, we all say, I mean, listen, I mean, we just even last year watching like the Four Nations, like it's like, the pride in your country, maybe that's part of it as well. I don't know, but things like that in hockey hit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. About 10 minutes from now, we'll be into college football, put a bow on the national championship scene, take a little bit of a peek at next year. And a Pac 12 fan on the Pac 12 Reddit has, I think, the most genius idea to fix college football. And then about 25 minutes from there, we'll get into the NFL. I watched Colorado the other day intently. Now that, and Mac, you and I talked about this the other day, and at T, I know we've talked about it on some of the lunchtime lives on Thursdays. But, like, now's that time where you really can kind of zone in and lock in on some college basketball, some hockey, the height of the NBA season and everything else. Kind of like, Christian McCaffrey and whoever else he was with the other night showed up to the Warrior game and Jimmy Butler tore his ACL, but that's probably the power plant's fault, but we won't get into that right now. Intently watching Colorado because this is that time of year where you can lock in on stuff. And T, I'll start with you on this one. Like, the patience that the Avalanche play with for a team that's got a bunch of guys that could drop 70-point starts to the season like Nathan McKinnon has. Well over 70 at this point. But there isn't a selfish guy on that ice for the Avs. And I hate this because I've been down this road with the Avs before. They're making me really, really, really believe that this is the year the more and more I watch them. And I need you to talk me out of it because I know how this ends.
I'm not talking you out of it. They're the best. They're flat out
Save
the
me
best.
from myself, man.
They're flat out the best team. If you just watch that first line play. Like, if you just watch the first line play, it is incredible to watch that. I honestly think Martin Nietzsche has made that team exponentially better, and in a way that Rantanen could not, because he is so good with Nathan McKinnon right now. It is ridiculous. And Nietzsche just sets. He's a great playmaker. He's got 22 goals, but I mean, the dude is dropping apples like he's working in an orchard. It's incredible. This team they've lost one time in regulation at home. This team is hands down the best team, and it's a crime, a flat out crime, that one of either Colorado, Minnesota, or Dallas will be out of the playoffs in the first round. Absolute crime.
Yeah, it's sickening. And speaking of the playoffs, Mac, I know we got another 5-hole coming up on Friday. TJ had some thoughts just before the show tonight on the couple of trades that went down. And if I'm going to look at this before we talk about our big games for the week, I'm going to give you $1,000 that Tampa Bay and Vegas play in the Stanley Cup, or Tampa Bay and Vegas. Tampa Bay and Colorado play in the Stanley Cup final. That's your bet. You can take my grand, or you can bet the grand on any other team. What would you do right now at this current point in the season?
I would take the Colorado side of that, but I would not take the Tampa Bay side of that. I'm digging my heels in. I think Carolina's a better team than Tampa.
Excellent job by you there, because TJ was talking about being masterful when it comes to the apples, like you're picking them in an orchard, and I just fumbled the shit out of that worse than Terry Pagula's press conference today. So way to go on you for following that. We've got a whole list of big games for the week, guys, so I figured we'll finish on this before we pass a couple of news and notes in the NHL off. Mac, I'll start with you. Of our list of big games for the week, which is the one that jumps off the page to you?
Oh my God, there's a couple of good ones. I'm going to say Buffalo and the Islanders. I get to watch Buffalo a little bit the other day when they played Carolina. I mean, they're really, really playing well. I mean, they've completely turned their season around. And you look at the standings, and where are the Islanders? Second place in the Metropolitan. It's funny. Some of these teams that we talked about at the beginning of the year that we were like, we didn't know, like, Detroit, the Islanders, the Sabres, Seattle, we'll throw Utah in there. All those teams that were like, which one of these teams is going to make that jump? guess what? They're all making that jump. Those young teams are. I'll even throw San Jose in there for you. All those young teams are really playing well.
Checks in the
Like,
mail.
yeah, I mean it's exciting. It's exciting to see those teams finally, kind of getting to that point, and I think it's going to make for an absolute incredible Stanley Cup playoff.
It's interesting that you brought that up because you kind of hit on something. One of my friends sent me a text the other day, and he goes, "No shade on Michael Misa, but can you imagine if the Sharks would have won the draft lottery and Matthew Schaefer was playing on the Sharks this year? Like, I would have been like, yeah, my Pacific Division bet on the Sharks to win the Pacific would look a hell of a lot better there." And again, no shade on Michael Misa, and I am thrilled with where the Sharks are, but that was like a fun, like, holy shit kind of thought. What's the one game that's on the radar for you, T?
Both the Vegas games, because they're heading out east to play 4 teams in playoff spots right now, and they've got to take Boston and then Toronto on the back-to-back, and that's Mitch Marner's return to Toronto, so that's going to be a spicy meatball. And then they got
meatball.
And then they go to Montreal as well and Ottawa. So this is a Vegas team that when I went and saw them, they looked just absolutely like a dog's breakfast. And they, after that, reel off 7 in a row. They lost a close one to Philadelphia the other night. This team's playing good hockey right now. They made the big deal to get Rasmus Anderson, and they finally kicked their record back up to 500. So they're going to be a tough out, man. They're going to be a really tough out.
Yeah, I for sure, obviously, returning to Toronto is a must-see, but I'm interested to see how this road trip goes, even though most of the road trip I won't be able to watch because it makes sense to black out the nights.
100% it does.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's Ducks and Kraken. This Anaheim team starting to play better now after a really, really bad stretch, and Seattle not playing any better. And when you look at the layout currently as we sit in the wild card situation, especially in the Western Conference there, you've got Seattle close, but like I don't see this team bailing out of this rut. Like they're playing they look like a very disjointed and disconnected team right now, which is really weird because I didn't see that from them. They've probably, and this is where we'll finish here, guys. Team that's probably surprised you the most. The hell are you laughing at in the middle there? Good God! I trying to teach a class here, man.
I know it was just too funny. Sorry, not you. What I was watching.
Keep it to yourself. Pay attention to the show. It's great. I hear that's what the people tell me.
I am, but.
The team that surprised me the most, at least through this point of the season, and I don't, obviously Buffalo's a great story, but I think it's just the Kraken, and maybe I was delusional and expected a lot more out of them out of the gate, Mac, but my biggest surprise so far in the season is Kraken. I thought they were going to be more of a force in the Pacific, not struggling to get to a final wild card.
Yeah, I mean they haven't quite found they haven't quite clicked yet. Like I said, there are 2 things coming up that are going to be very interesting. One is going to be the break. How do teams handle the break? That's going to be a big thing. For some, they probably can't wait for the break. Others, they hope that they wish that it never happened. So how are teams going to handle the break? How are they going to come out of the break? The other thing is the trade deadline. What's going to happen come trade deadline? So those are the 2 things as we go. For a team like Seattle, a team like San Jose, that all of a sudden kind of have a feeling that they're in this, we have some new players now. We have players in the trade market that we didn't think we were probably going to have. So it's going to be interesting to see how the teams handle those 2 things. It's going to make for it's definitely it's a sprint to the end is what it is. It's kind of been a sprint to now. They're going to get a little break, and then the second half is going to be like a sprint again to see what's going to happen, because again they're going to play a lot of games in a short amount of time.
Yeah, for sure. And T, it's funny when we look at the opposite side of this. Speaking of who's surprised you before you get to yours, a team you talked about earlier this afternoon on our social channels, the Canucks. And hey, Gavin McKenna, do some homework on the Vancouver area because they're doing everything they can to make sure you're there. Who's your big surprise, T? Positive or negative?
The Boston Bruins. I thought that they were just going to flame out this year, and the way that they've responded has been really good. I mean, they've been playing pretty good hockey, and because the East is so tight right now, they're sitting in the second wild card. But I mean, they reel off a couple in a row, and they'll be right up there with the Atlantic leaders. So they're my biggest surprise from a positive side. From a negative side, I think it's the Jets. I think the Jets they seem like they've just gotten old and slow. And I mean, I can watch old and slow right down the street if I want to in LA. But they just, for a team that went to this, that made the run that they did last year, they just look lost. They look lost.
Speaking of hockey and speaking of old and slow, you could have just watched the Terry Pagula press conference today. You mentioned the Kings old and slow. Darcy Kemper left their last game with another injury after he was out for basically what felt like the entire month of December, the second half of December. I don't know as of right now, I haven't seen an update on that, but for the Kings team that is old and slow and right outside the wild card right now, puts a lot of pressure on Mr. Forsberg.
Yeah. And this is a team, the Kings, that lost, I believe they lost 6 games at home the entire season last year. They're 8-10-7 at the Crypt right now. And they didn't do anything to help themselves in the offseason. And with Kopitar leaving at the end of the season, I think it's going to be a couple of lean ones there for the Kings.
Final news of hockey for tonight's program, and I'll throw this around to both of you. We'll start T, then Mac. I'll let you finish up on this. Seth Jones, who's been on LTIR since the Winter Classic, has been replaced for the Olympics by one Jackson Lacombe of your fighting mighty Quacks of Anaheim, Los Angeles, Orange County, Disneyland. I like the move, T. I mean, it sucks for Seth Jones. I think he definitely deserved to be there, but I'm excited to see Jackson Lacombe on a worldwide stage like that.
Yeah, and if you haven't watched Jackson Lacombe play, he is fantastic. He runs the point on the power play. He's got a great shot. I think he's 22 or 23 years old. I mean, the guy is young. So this is a guy that is going to. I'm sorry, he's 25. He's going to be around for a long time, and I love the fact that he's getting this opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, he's had a great year. I think he had only a couple of goals last year. He's got 14 goals this year. That when you get into those tournaments like that, one thing that can swing the tide real quickly is, your power player and your penalty kill. And he's a great person to have on the blue line.
Those of you that are new, welcome in. Feel free to comment along if you're watching along. And yes, we do talk hockey on this show, and we do talk hockey a lot. Every Wednesday we talk hockey. So if you're a puckhead, like the three of us are, a couple of us are. I didn't fire. Sorry, I just slipped into a Pagula. This is where you go when it comes to watching hockey. Guys, the football season is almost completely at an end. The college football season is. And Cook and Quack, I think, summed it up the best. A season that started with Avery Johnson's family fighting in puddles in Ireland ends with a porn star crying in Miami's stadium. College football is the best sport on the planet. Bella Danger, porn star on the right, getting a lot of criticism for what she said today, that she, if she would have known ESPN was filming her, she wouldn't have wanted to be on film. And you know what? Give the girl a break. She's a little camera shy. We get it. But guys, images of the college football season, I'm sure there's a bunch of them, but I wanted to start with this before we talk about perfection as it sits in Bloomington and the walking soundbite and meme that is Signetti and the Hoosiers aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Was there a moment that stood out in the college football season more than anything to each of you? I will let whoever wants to jump on that first go, since that one's kind of out of left field.
I would say the Indiana game against Penn State is probably the one that stands out to me. Like, it was really the first time Indiana you really had to battle back and show what they were made of. I think that's a good one for me.
Are you talking about the whole season or just for Indiana?
No, the whole season. Was there a one shining moment?
I think.
By the way, the college football sickos did a one doinking moment last night that we did share on our X page of.
All the
Oh, dude, I was freaking rolling. Any moment from the season, T.
I thought one of the best moments was the Texas A&M comeback when they were down by a crap ton of points and came back to win. Because I think I texted you at the time that if you bet Texas A&M when they were down the most, you could have got them at like plus 380 or something to come back, and you just knew that they were going to. The other thing that stands out is watching Penn State just implode, just completely. They were ranked 2 in the preseason poll, and they just it was a disaster. And now they're really going to have to retool. So good luck with that.
Yeah, I knew I was going to ask you guys this question, and for some stupid reason, I didn't put it in the outline because I'm all about tricks. It's all about the trick play on this show. For me, it was Marty Smith's coverage of the entire Lane Kiffin decision. I mean, from the memes of like his beard getting so gray, and then him telling McAfee and his crew the story of how they're just barrel rolling in this. He called it a loaf of bread on wheels. Like the way that whole thing went down and the timing of when it went down and everything, and then ESPN gets a lot of shit, and I think rightfully so. But like the way that they allowed Marty Smith to tell the chaos of that story, I'm not kidding you, I think is like literally like Emmy worthy, Oscar worthy, Tony worthy. We'll get to that here in a second, Vegas Mac. But like Marty Smith's coverage of that whole thing, I think sold how crazy it was in the only way you could tell that story. So Marty, if you're watching, we appreciate the hell out of you. And that was incredible. I don't know what to make of a lot of what I saw. And I think Miami played that game a lot better than I thought they were going to. For somebody that has criticized the hell out of Carson Beck, I felt for him throwing that pick late in the game. I was like, damn, man, like that sucks. Like he's gonna have a bright future in front of him. And it was like on the flip, I never at any point watching that game had any inkling that this wasn't Indiana's story to finish, Mac. What did you think? Take me through how the game unfolded to you, like I just did. Like I should have lit a damn candle in the bathroom or something.
I mean, for me, I mean, we talked about a little about this. Like it started off like I thought it was 2 heavyweight, just kind of going at each other. Kind of trying to find an opening and find a gap, and then when one team kind of found a gap, they got a little bit of momentum. But then, like every good heavyweight champion or challenger, they came roaring back. I mean, it's kind of how it was. It felt like a boxing match to me. It's like, and in a boxing match, there's a lot of times it's just one mistake. It's one thing that makes a difference, and that's kind of how I felt in that game. It was gonna be one mistake that somebody made that was gonna make the difference. It was a great championship game. I'm going to go out and say that. I mean, it really was, because a lot of times you get championship games that are stinkers, and this one was not. I mean, I felt Indiana had it, and then when Miami get the ball in that last possession, I was like, oh my gosh, you know what? Miami's going to win this game.
We bust your balls for being the old guy on the show all the time, and I'm sorry that I laughed while you were saying that. But like when I heard you go, a lot of the time they just turn into stinkers, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's such like an old guy thing to say. Like,
It
you little
is, yeah,
stinker.
yeah. But I mean, it was such a it was a really good game, and I think it gave us everything that we could ask for. The defenses were good, the coaching was good. We got some special teams plays. I mean, it covered. I mean, if you had a checklist or a bingo card, I mean, I think you got it all covered.
T, what did you think of that rocking good athletic competition on Monday night?
I just couldn't, man. I just cannot buy into this Fernie Mendoza guy. Like there's something that's just not. No, no. It's. I trade my whole draft for Josh Allen. Um,
Okay, Ditka.
this is. I don't know if it just rubs me the wrong way, the way that he left Cal. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. When he leaves Cal and he's like, "Oh, this is the greatest, Cal forever," and then next week he's with Indiana. So this it's a great story for Indiana. Good on them. It's nice to see a team that had been terrible for so long finally reach the pinnacle, a la Leicester FC in the Premier League. But yeah, I just can't get
First
on.
time for every reference on this show.
I just can't get on the Mendoza bandwagon for some reason. I just can't.
Well, and I think a lot of what both of you said there, like, there's a lot to it, and something you just said like a minute ago, T. Indiana would need to win 191 straight games as a program to get to 500 all time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, some of those sound made up. They sound like total bullshit, but I think that's something that casual fans this year didn't really pick up on with this Indiana thing, is how damn bad the baddest of bad Indiana football was. And now Indiana joins a select list of schools with a college basketball and college football national championship. And you said the stat about them being the only one to have an undefeated champion in both. Mm-hmm. Like, it's mind-blowing. And I don't think a lot of people understood that for most of this run.
Like, it was like, can you name any Indiana alumni other than Anthony Thompson and Antoine Randall L?
You took mine.
Like, and now, I mean, but good for Kurt, good for Coach Kurt. I mean, he seems like a really good dude. He's playing the game by the rules that he's allowed to play. Good on him. I hope Indiana stays relevant. But we'll see.
I was going to say Ricky Rowe, but I forgot Ricky Rowe in Indiana's backyard spurned them for Western University and head coach Pete Bell. Mac, the Fernando Mania, I think, ironically, that's a weird way to say that out loud. Rest in peace, Fernando. Mm-hmm. But that's basically what it's turned into. And I think you and I were texting at that time on the fourth down. No, we're going for it. The touchdown mm-hmm. run. I mean, like, that is going to be behind him mm-hmm. at the Death Star in Vegas when he signs his Raiders contract. Will be the image of him, as much as T doesn't want to see it, on that play. I mean, this is like, we're talking about iconic plays, like Vince Young's run, Tim Tebow's mm-hmm. jump pass, like. That moment, we were both like, holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, I was absolutely shocked that they were going to go for it at that point. I'm just, I'm thinking, okay, get your field goal. Your defense has been good all day. You should be good. Mm-hmm. And again, when they talked to Cignetti about that, he was like, yeah, he goes, it was something that was set up previously. They had seen it before, and they knew exactly. I mean, he's not the only coach to do that, but I mean, he was. I mean, listen, that's a ballsy call on any stretch of the imagination. It's not like it was 4th and 1; it was 4th and 5. I mean, that was. Again, like I said, I think that game had a little bit of everything for me in it. And like that, like you say what makes a good game? One of the aspects that makes a good game is when you have a coach that makes a call like that. I mean, there's not many times that you sit in a game and go, "Oh man, that coach really made a call that changed the game." He made a call that changed the game.
You know why he did it though? And the coaches that do it, and like you said, he's not the only coach, but this is exactly why Kirk Cignetti did that. He doesn't order beer. He orders alcohol content. According to a booster, Cignetti once attended a brewery event and referred to drinks strictly by ABV. No names, just results. That's the Kirk Cignetti that, like, I mean, the dude is, like I said earlier, he's a walking soundbite. He's a walking meme. And this team is not going anywhere. They have Josh Hoover coming in to play quarterback next year. And I can't remember the kid's name off the top of my head right now, coming in to basically play Elijah Surratt's position in the wide receiver. They're not going anywhere. Like, and we're going to get to this here in a minute, but like this team is really, really set up. And I think I love it because it shows you that it can be done in this version of college football, which I think, despite the turmoil, guys, despite all of the feelings that we feel about the state of the sport right now, this is the perfect ending to going into whatever the hell happens next, because it can be done in this current effed up system, T.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. They had a great season. Their defense was dominant most of the year. I was nice to see them have to deal with a little bit of adversity. Yes, they can still do it. They're going to reload again. But the elephant in the room here is of the 11 playoff games, 6 of them were crap. And that has to change.
There he goes. There's the mood killer.
So, listen, I'm going to, as a UConn fan, as a UConn football fan, I mean, we know that that's not their cup of tea.
You just publicly admit that?
Yeah, but listen, I got to tell you, like, this has been kind of this whole thing. I'm getting a different perspective of it. UConn, University of Connecticut, has got a quarterback transfer from Tennessee. They got a defensive lineman from Texas. And they got a guy from USC. They got a guy from Wisconsin. Like, they're getting, like, it's kind. I think the only way to say it's like playing like Madden football. It's like, you go and you can just kind of make your team, and so it's kind of, I mean, nobody from Texas would go to UConn to play football. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, that's just, it doesn't even make sense. So, I'm kind of getting a different perspective of it. The portals, it's interesting. It's like I said, it's different. It's new. There's parts of it that I like, parts of it I don't, but it's kind of interesting. It's a little bit of, it's kind of fun. I think it needs to be reined in a little bit, but it's kind of fun.
UConn is allowed to recruit players in the states that you mentioned and the schools that you mentioned. Like, it is possible.
Well, we know that because they all
Kevin
play
Garnett
on our
said anything is possible. So
we know that because they play on our basketball team. So we're well aware of that. We just didn't know that.
Is there a mouse in your pocket? Now you're doing the Wii thing too?
Yes, I am doing the Wii thing.
Freaking God. All right. I think hats off to Miami. I hope it's sustainable for them. Mm-hmm. I was not expecting that game to be like it was, and you can go back to the block punt where the personal protector on the right basically did the whole fan by blocking thing, and it was weird because somebody pointed this out today on X. I want to say it was Jeff Schwartz, that when you look at the aerial shot of the kick return when Malachi Toney decided to return that kick that put them in the position to have that punt block, which kind of I felt sealed the game at that point, even though it was one of those you're not coming back from. But it looked like Miami was trying to set up some sort of trick return on it. And it's like, it's crazy. We go through all these games, and one little play that didn't happen could have dramatically changed the entire way that thing goes down. I think all in all, I know there was blowouts. I get it, but I think Miami and Indiana playing in that game, Indiana getting to finish their story and just absolutely dominating the whole way through. Fernando Mendoza, like you have the main character, you have everything there. And I don't think we could have asked for a better finish to that. Obviously, we go in, the problems are still the problems, and they're not going anywhere. One last thing on Fernando, and I got to thank Karen Howell on X for this one. We've
That's
talked
so
about
true.
ways to describe this guy the whole postseason, like
It's so true.
the guy who would play the quarterback in the movie in the Fanville thing. Like, so let's look forward a little bit. Actually, I got to do this one more time just for T's sake. Congrats, Fernando! You won a national championship. Now you're playing for the Raiders.
You may never win. You may never win again.
No, please.
On the screen are your odds for next year's college football national champion, because it's never too early for this. There's some interesting ones up here. Obviously, we're not completely done with the transfer portal, but we know where the big names are headed. Vegas Mac, prognosticator of all prognosticators on this show. $100 of my money. It's your guys' favorite game to play. $100 of my money. Right now, you got to make a bet. And you're going to pick a team off that list or somebody that's further down on that list. After all, it's $100 of my money.
Yeah, well, I'm not quite going to put it on UConn. I don't think they're quite there yet. But there's one team on there.
If they start recruiting Texas, you can.
I know. Listen, there's one team on there as I'm going through this whole list that's really, really pissed off. And that's the team that I think has a good chance of winning it next year. And that's Notre Dame. They are going to double cross every T and double dot every I, because they are not going to let what happened to them this year happen to them next year. I think that is a very dangerous team. I think the pain that they felt of not getting into that tournament is going to drive them to get there next year.
Jeez, sell the freaking script to Hollywood. T, would you like to follow that dramatic entrance?
Wow.
Didn't Notre Dame bake into the adjustments to the playoff that if they finish higher than
I think with
59th in the country that they get in?
It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter.
I don't know. They have to play BYU the final week of the season. You didn't want SC. Now you got BYU. I don't know if that's any better.
Dude, I hope BYU rolls them. What are they going to call that? Catholics? Never mind.
Don't.
Jeez.
I like Texas Tech. There's good value there, and I think they're going to be just as upset. They had a great opportunity to let slip away.
You guys know what I'm going with. How well do you know me? What am I going with on the list?
Quack.
Wrong.
Quack. Oh,
wrong. He's not going to do it next year. He'll do it in year 6. Lanning's the guy 1 year from now.
Let's see.
I think they go a step further next year, but I don't know if I'm 100% sold on Dante Moore. I really am being honest there.
Is the Big Ten going to get another champion?
No. It's returning to the best conference in college football next year. Man,
the
that's
Big 12?
Piss a lot of people off.
The Big 12?
The SEC, you jackass.
All right. Well, I mean, so the SEC is going to get 12 teams in next year and still not win a championship.
All right. Since he's not participating, which is classic him fashion, T, which team do you think I'm eyeballing for next year?
I think you're going with Georgia.
Billy V actually has the correct answer in the comment section.
Oh, good Lord.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
Jeez.
The Kiffin Kool-Aid, Sam Levitt and Lane Kiffin all the way to Vegas, baby.
All right. Well,
can't you see Lane Kiffin being Doug from Hangover on a trip to Vegas?
No, enough.
I say right now, let's see. If LSU doesn't win the national championship next year, Mike has
you don't get to throw me into these.
wear a Florida State shirt.
Yours. You piece of trash. You awful human being.
I'm going to get the party started.
Kind of crotchety in your old age. Hey, if you really want to know who's going to win, this is all you need to know. Thanks to our friends over at CFB Kings. Why it says we're not following them, I have no idea why. But there you go. Oh my God, we might have just gotten the comment of the year here in a second.
I
Clemson and UCLA, baby. It's written in the stars. It's the
right.
Signetti thing.
Okay.
And Dabo, just so he can say, see, we just did things our way, and it got us back to the promised land. Remember what I said about can't you see Lane Kiffin and how he would be hangover Doug in Vegas? Boom.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate.
Just to make T happy there. We'll get to Heisman stuff maybe next week. Maybe that'll be our trivia question next week. Sam Levitt's going to win the Heisman, by the way. And that'll make a lot of people in Arizona real happy. We have some Super Bowl hypotheticals, guys. Superbook Sports in Vegas. There's your 4 hypotheticals now that we know. Hold on. The guy who's pressing the buttons doesn't press them very well. There you go. 4 potential matchups in the Super Bowl here as we sit after an interesting weekend last weekend. I don't really know where to start here because we reacted to everything on Monday, Mac, and now we're in this, okay, how are we going to start playing these games? How are we going to play these games going forward? How are we going to bet them? Well, tonight we're going to give you a touchdown trio. TJ and I are going to try and pull off a dual same-game parlay homer, and then we've got some player props later this week. But as we sit here now, we're looking at a couple of things that are already developing. Number one, in the AFC title game, where we know Jared Stidham is going to be the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Giving you a chance to get it all out of your head there, Bills fans. All right. Now we go forward. This is the largest point spread right now, if it stays where it's at, that we have ever seen for a home underdog in a conference championship game. And I don't know if I'm 100% sold on that it should be that way. Because I brought this up to Mac the other day, T, so I'll say it to you. I'm not convinced that the Drake May that I've seen in the 2 playoff games that I've watched of the Patriots can play that way against Denver. And we had a couple of people clap back today and go, Buffalo just put 30 on them, blah, 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 blah. Drake May hasn't looked great, which has been the most impressive thing about what the Patriots have done. I don't think he can play that way on Sunday and beat them, T.
No, he's going to have to definitely improve his game because if he plays the same way that team plays the same way they played against the Texans, it's going to be a long day and a long flight home for them.
Mac, you've thought about it since I said it Monday. Do you agree or disagree?
No, listen, the Patriots played against a good defense. They didn't play great. They're getting better every single week. I don't think. I think with the loss of Bo Nix, I think there's no way you can convince me that the Broncos are going to be able to put a lot of points up on the board. I don't think he has to be great. I think he has to be good and mistake free. I don't think there's a way that the Patriots don't win this game easily.
When we look at the NFC side, there's some interesting data here. Obviously, we know the situation for Seattle, no Zach Charbonnet. We're getting some... I'm really torn on this because there's enough of this stuff going out. Since the AFL-NFL merger, no indoor team has ever won a conference championship game on the road in an outdoor stadium. They are 0-15 all time. That is the situation that the Rams are in. Obviously not uncomfortable in Seattle because of their familiarity with it. And then, then I see stupid shit like this where no team that's ever had an anniversary patch on their jersey has ever made the Super Bowl in that year, which the Seahawks have a 50th anniversary patch. It's all that dumb shit. So what are your first thoughts, Mac and T here? NFC Championship game, third meeting between these two teams. The numbers are basically 1,000% identical. Rams and Hawks, what are you thinking of?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. There's so many weird things about this. I mean, they're so darn close. I looked at it. I looked at it this way. I'm going to throw out the top offense versus the top defense. I'm going to throw that out. I'm going to call that a wash. And so that comes down to the Rams defense versus the Seattle offense. Which do you like better? That's how I look at this game, and I have a narrow decision in favor of the Rams. That's how I see this because I think top offense versus top defense that's a equal each other out. That's what I think it comes down to. I think the Rams defense is better than the Seattle offense. Donald has struggled against the Rams defense. I think that's the difference in the game.
See?
I think the Rams are playing down to their competition right now, and I think that's a huge problem. They squeaked one out against Carolina, and no disrespect to Carolina. Carolina had beaten them a few weeks before, but that was a game that the Rams could have made a statement, and they didn't. Then they go to Chicago. Yeah, look, you're playing good teams in the playoffs, but that was another game where I thought the Rams were a better team all around, and they just let the Bears hang around, and then that ridiculous proctologist play, and it is what it is. If the Rams do not start with a sense of urgency on Sunday, they are not going to win. Period. End of story. They have to have a sense of urgency, especially against Seattle, especially against the Seahawks.
Yeah, here's another interesting stat here, and this would favor the Seahawks. 7 of the last 8 teams to eliminate San Francisco from the postseason have gone on to win the Super Bowl. The only one that did not was the 2022 Eagles. I think the thing we've talked about this a lot in the college football playoff, and I think if there's one thing before we get into our individual X factors, if there's one thing for me that makes me confident in Seattle's offense, and it's something that we were begging Alabama to do. We saw Miami do it to Ole Miss's defense. Is Seattle has stayed, especially over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Because remember, we went about a 5 or 6 game stretch where Seattle couldn't score in the first half at all. And the last 3 weeks, their offense has been cooking because they're staying committed to the run regardless. With no Zach Charbonnet there, that is a big deal. But I don't think it's going to change the way they attack the game, which will be interesting. The other interesting thing, T, in this game, before we get to our X factors, is Seattle has not sacked Matthew Stafford in either of the games that they've played this season. And we know Seattle's not a blitz-heavy team, but they've got to get the old man moving on Sunday night.
Oh, 100%. And you know how Stafford is. He's great at just getting rid of that ball as quickly as possible. We saw it against Chicago. Even if it's just, I'm going to waste this down and get another chance. He's very good at not turning the ball over. I'm concerned a little bit with how the Rams, although they and the Seahawks are fairly evenly matched, that game that Sam Darnold played in LA was god awful.
That was horrible.
And they still had a chance to win at the end.
Yeah, so, they absolutely did. And this is one of those games, too, T, where there's enough guys on the list this week of injuries and stuff like that. Some of these guys are going to come up in our X factors here. So let's start with that. Let's go to the AFC Championship game first. And let's talk about our X factors. We'll go T Mac and then me on this one. What's your biggest X factor, or who is your biggest X factor in the AFC Championship game?
I think it's RJ Harvey. I think he's got to just run. They've got to run this football to take pressure off of Stidham and allow Stidham to not make mistakes. You got to run this football. And they seem to do okay against Denver or against Buffalo, but they have to be exceptional against the Patriots.
Absolutely. I do agree with you there. Mac, who's your X factor AFC title game?
I think it's Drake May. I think he's got to have one of those big games. I think he has to have a game where he just kind of rises to the top. I think this is exactly a kind of a perfect game for him to do that because I see Denver having to try to do too many things to score points. I think this will be a good opportunity for him to have a pretty good game. So I think I think they need to ride his shoulders in one of these games.
I think I agree with that as well. My X factor is a guy that I think really wants to know what brand and flavor toothpaste Drake May uses, and that's Nick Bonito of the Broncos. And I mentioned him about a month ago. We were talking about the Broncos late in the season, about just how I think undervalued Nick Bonito is, and you saw it, and we were talking about it on Monday, Mac. It just Buffalo was doing a fantastic job blocking him until they didn't, and then the game kind of flipped. And I know it was back and forth down the stretch, but you know how it is, especially in a city like Denver, in a stadium like whatever the hell they're calling it, Walmart Field at Mile High Coors Brewing, or whatever the hell the name is now. But like those kind of momentum plays, and like again, it's kind of ironic here that the reason that this game is being played at 5280 is because the Raiders beat the Patriots in Foxborough. Like that, like those little things we don't pay attention to all season long, and they come out that way. Let's go to the NFC side, guys, and we'll go Mac, TJ, then me on this one. Mac, your biggest X factor in the NFC title game?
Oh, I don't know. I'm lost my notes. Sorry. I didn't have one because I can't come up with one. That's why I'm looking. I'm like, where? I have X factor. I have nothing there, and then I have question mark, question mark, question mark. I have,
Dog didn't eat my homework. I just didn't do my damn homework.
I put 4 question marks because I really don't know. I'm really confused. I looked at. I was convinced on Monday. I thought Seattle was going to win this game, and I think the Rams are going to win. I don't really know what the X factor is. I'm totally 100% on the fence on this one.
Good effing God, T. I'm sorry, but I know you probably have an X factor. X is the letter in between Y and W, Mac.
Yeah,
I have
W and Y. I don't even know if that works. I said it backwards in my head. Like, yeah, whatever.
I thought you
Who's
were
your
gonna go
X
with Z.
factor in the NFC title game?
It's the Rams linebackers. They've got to make sure that they can control KW 3. They have to. It's just as much as like we talked about RJ Harvey being able to run the ball. The Rams have to just stop it, and they just cannot allow it. And it's unfortunate for Seattle that Charbonnet is out. That's very fortuitous for the Rams, but now you got to do something with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm interested to see what the game plan looks like too, because I think that was the thing. And Mac and I kind of talked about this on Monday. Like, I didn't understand the Rams' game plan against the Bears. Like, I lost a lot of money because Blake Corum wasn't heavily involved, and I thought those two guys could have been looking at 100 yards each on the ground. So I'm interested to see how they attack. For me, my X factor is a guy who should be the defensive rookie of the year. Don't at me, Browns fans. I know your guy Schlesinger had a great year, but he plays for the Browns. Nicky Manwari of the Seahawks has had a fantastic year, and I'll use like a local tie to him out here in Arizona. He's a lot of Buda Baker to me. Like, he does everything for Seattle. They can move him all kinds of places. I think he's a very underrated cog in this defense. I think not having Chenna Nwosu, which looks like that's probably going to be the case, and Charles Cross's health is something to keep an eye on as well. I think Nicky Manwari is a guy that can make, like, I can envision him making a big-time defensive play in this game. And in this game, between these two teams in that stadium, holy shit. Like, make sure you batten down the hatches and put all the nice glassware away, because it'll go nuts, because they've been waiting forever for this. And I agree with you, Mac. I am really torn on that game as well. My favorite bet so far, at least early in that game, first half under 23.5, because I think we're going to get a lot of a lot of mud slinging rocks and not really a whole lot of movement there. Let's get into a touchdown trio, shall we? Actually, first, I wanted to know this. I'll put up the hypotheticals again. As we can see, Drake May, massive difference. According to some people, the Broncos would have been 1.5-point favorites this weekend against the Patriots instead of 5.5-point home dogs. So you can see the Bo Nix adjustment there for the two Broncos matchups. 8.5, they'd be dogs to the Seahawks. Hypothetically, 9 to Los Angeles. So what is the matchup that you want us to be talking about next week? Vegas Mac first.
Los Angeles Rams, New England Patriots.
What? T.
Yes.
Rams
did.
and,
I'm
Rams
sorry I
and
did.
Broncos, because I believe that's the only one on that list that has not been played yet.
I'm not going to see it anyway, so I'm all good.
Whatever. I'm not going to go into that. I want to see the Seahawks and the Patriots. I think that would be fun. It would open up a lot of old wounds for a lot of people. I want to see Mike McDonald make me sound smart from a year ago. And I can't. I physically cannot. I will be ill if the Rams win the Super Bowl on the 49ers field. So, I mean, it is close to a power plant, though, but who knows what the hell's going to happen. All right, let's get some touchdown scores. 2 games, 4 teams. It gets a lot harder at this time of the year. So, in customary fashion, we will let the clown of the circus go laugh. TJ, who you got? Start us off.
Well, I noticed that there is a note on mine saying that this is absolutely hilarious.
Yes. That was put in there by me. So I will tell the story after you and I give our picks.
Okay, I'm taking AJ Barner.
AJ Barner of the Seahawks. So here's the thing for me. I've done really well in the postseason in putting 2 or 3 touchdown scorer plays together. I've had a fun postseason. Let's just put it that way. I was really looking for that, like, holy shit, out of nowhere kind of thing. Like, I'm the guy that bet on Jawan Jennings to be the MVP of the Super Bowl a few years ago. I'm always looking for that kind of shit when we get late in the year. So I decided that I wanted to. It came to me. So my pick is Lil Jordan Humphrey of the Broncos to score a touchdown. What's funny is I wanted to play Lil Jordan Humphrey and Robbie Oonts, the fullback for the Seahawks, because that's the kind of random shit I'm looking for. Nobody wants to take my $10 donation on putting those two together because I can't bet on Robbie to score a touchdown. So the one I ended up settling on that I've already placed is Lil Jordan Humphrey and AJ Barner. And if you're curious, it's plus 1670. So there's our 2 plays. I think I'm 1-1. Mac, are you 1-1 now in the postseason here?
Yeah, because I got some booty last week.
You did grab some booty. It was an incredible grab of booty. By the way. TJ is 0-2 in the postseason, which is rare. So TJ's going with Barner. I'm going with Lil Jordan. And Mr. Patriot in the middle is probably going with the Patriot, which is the hardest damn team to ever predict a touchdown score off of. But you grabbed the booty last week.
That's right. I got it. I am going with the Patriots. You are 100% correct.
Steve Grogan is the kind of shit I'm expecting to hear right now.
Stanley Morgan would be more like it.
Jesus.
Okay, or Sam Cunningham.
Make a pick for Christ's sakes.
Mosi Tutupu.
Yeah, no.
Don't get him down. He's not going to stop now.
I wrote this down. My pick for a touchdown, Patriots defense.
Ooh, I knew you were going to say that.
Bam!
I knew you were going to say that.
Patriots defense.
You know, I don't hate it.
I know. It's not bad, is it?
No. You don't want to know why I'm really going to tell you I don't hate it? It's a plus 10,971. And as we tell you on these are fun. We're not handicappers. They're not locks. You don't have to join my paid subscription service because there isn't one. But $5 will pay you $548.56.
I mean,
No, don't
they're
hate
going
it.
against a quarterback that hasn't thrown a pass since 2023. Come on. You know he's going to throw one that doesn't go the right way or to the wrong team. It's going to happen.
I'm looking at this list of touchdown scorers. Who the hell is Jack Westover of the Patriots? Never heard of the dude. Apparently, he's number 37. He's got the highest odds. If you want to bet on him to have 2 touchdowns, he's a plus 10,000. If you want to do that, just hand me your money and we're good. I don't think I can go any further on this. By the way, Vegas Mac, your birthday present this year is a hell of a day of college basketball on Valentine's Day, if you haven't seen that one yet.
No, I haven't. I'm excited. I have to look.
We have ranked on ranked on ranked on ranked on ranked. It's going to be friggin' incredible. TJ, any final words before you join me tomorrow on Lunchtime Live?
No, I just want to give a shout out to Josh Doan. I got a nice little 7-year contract extension today for the Valley native, and for all you who think hockey in Arizona is non-existent, that would be example number 712 on the Buffalo Sabres, no less. That hockey belongs in the desert.
Also, why the Utah Mammoth will never win a championship unless the portal opens to bring Doan back to the Arizona franchise, because it is illegal by bylaws to trade a Doan from an Arizona franchise. So you cursed yourselves, Utah. Don't know what to tell you. Vegas Mac, do you have any final words tonight?
I'm hoping that the next. Oh yes, I do. I do.
I have nothing, but oh yes, I do.
Oh wait, I do. Freddie Peralta was just traded to the New York Mets.
Shut up. Really?
For their two top prospects. I just saw it. It just came across. Peralta to the Mets. Jet Williams and
oh no!
Yes,
they traded Brandon Sproat.
Yep, and Jet. Yep. So 2 top prospects going to Milwaukee for Freddie Peralta. The Mets, ladies and gentlemen, the Metropolitans are serious. Luis Roberts.
All it took after 3 years of us talking about Luis Robert getting traded, all it took was Ronald Acuna's brother to trade him to the Mets. Yeah. Look at the Mets. I might be warming up to the Mets here. Meet
the Metropolitans on a roll.
You're going to have to literally go to Meet the Mets Day, because they're going to have like 4 guys from last year's team. The whole rest of the damn team is new at this point.
Yeah.
I love that. Brandon Sproat, go Gators. We'll have way more opportunity to pitch way faster with the Brewers.
Absolutely.
That's a freaking thing. And here comes one of these to finish the show on a conspiracy theory.
Is it a catch? Is it not a catch?
Nobody knows what a catch is.
What's a catch?
You know what I do know? A good goalie fight when I see one. For everybody behind the scenes, for TJ, will be with me tomorrow on Lunchtime Live. For Vegas Mac, I'm Mike. You know the drill. Talk with you tomorrow at lunchtime. We're out.